जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। जय यमुना तीरवनचारी। यमुना तीरवनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Canto 1, text 18, chapter 18, text 10. या या कथा भगवत कथनीयोरुकर्मण गुणकर्माश्रया पुंभी संसेव्यास्ता बुभूषुभि। या या कथा भगवत कथनीयोरुकर्मण गुणकर्माश्रया पुंभी संसेव्यास्ता बुभूषुभि। या या कथा भगवत कथनीयोरुकर्मण गुणकर्माश्रया पुंभी संसेव्यास्ता बुभूषुभि। या या कथा भगवत कर्मण गुणकर्माश्रया पुंभी संसेव्यास्ता बुभूषुभि। या या कथा भगवत कथनीयोरुकर्मणा गुणकर्माश्रया पुंवी संसेव्यास्ता बुभुषुभि या या कथा भगवत कथनीयोरुकर्मणा गुणकर्माश्रया पुंवी संसेव्यास्ता बुभुषुभि या या कथा भगवत कथनीयोरुकर्मणा गुणकर्माश्रया पुंवी संसेव्यास्ता बुभुषुभि. Word to word meaning. Ya, whatever. Ya, and whatsoever. Katha, topics. Bhagavata, about the personality of Godhead. Kathaniya, where to be spoken by me. Urukramana, of him who acts wonderfully. Guna, transcendental qualities. Karma, uncommon deeds. Ashraya, involving. Pumbhi, by persons. Samsevya, ought to be heard. Ta, all of them. Bubushibi, by those who want their own welfare. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki translation. Those who are desirous of achieving complete perfection in life must submissively hear all topics that are connected with the transcendental activities and qualities of the personality of Godhead, who acts wonderfully. Purport. The systematic hearing of the transcendental activities, qualities, and names of the Lord Sri Krishna pushes one toward eternal life. Systematic hearing means knowing Him gradually in truth and fact. And this knowledge and this knowing Him in truth and fact means attaining eternal life. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, such transcendental glorified activities of Lord Sri Krishna are the prescribed remedy for counteracting the process of birth, death, old age and disease, which are considered to be material awards for the conditioned living being. The culmination of such a perfectional stage of life is the goal of human life and the attainment of transcendental bliss. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatam Nitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Nitam Cha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ankam Karoti Vachanam Brahmam Langayate Grim Kripatamam Vande Shri Guru. Hare Krishna. I welcome everyone for today's morning Bhagavatam class. and I seek blessings of all Vaishnavas so that I can speak for the purification of my heart in glorifying the Lord, and it can be pleasing to all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. So this section which Radhesham Prabhu was telling, that is 18 and 19 chapter, they are having very wonderful lessons. So here in this 18th chapter, initially 10th, first around this, till this shloka, 10 shlokas, Parikshit Maharaj's birth and activities are mentioned, and then he ends up saying that how hearing all these wonderful qualities, having the Lord Urukrama's qualities and activities, that hearing should be the aspire for, and that is the goal of human life. So it starts with 8th shloka where he says that how this hearing can be beneficial. Jasbir Prabhu mentioned that how Sushil Gaurang Prabhu mentioned that how Kali Yuga was having so many benefits also. That is the reason Parikshit Maharaj didn't kill Kali. So natural question, any sadhaka think that, oh, so many problems in Kali Yuga. Kali's entrance will be causing so much havoc. Then why Kali was allowed to be entered? So then he says that Kushalani Ashu Shuddhanti. That for good things, if we just think about it, then we will get benefit. And the highest good in that is chanting of the holy name of the Lord, hearing Bhagavatam. That is having so many immense benefits. Of course, we may not immediately understand by our materialistic senses that how much progress by hearing is happening. Sometimes we think, okay, one day Bhagavatam class means what will happen? Every day I am attending, so like that. But how much progress is happening by that everyday hearing Bhagavatam class, that we may not understand by our gross senses. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one of the songs that Dine Dine Ruddhi Hoke Namera Prabhave Prabhu Tava Pada Yuge Muranivadan. In that song he says that every day by chanting the holy name I am increasing my faith. So that may not be tangibly visible, but the increase is happening. So for that, various examples are given that when somebody is traveling in fast moving car or in aeroplane, that time he can't understand that how much how fast he is traveling, but he is traveling and he is going ahead. So that progress of a sadhaka wanted to have some tangible progress. How much extra credits, medals I have accumulated. And of course, that medals are getting accumulated, but if you don't able to see in tangible form, then he is little worried. So here in 8th shloka, Sukadeva Goswami mentions that how, not Sukadeva, Sutta Goswami mentions that how progress is happening, and there is a lot of progress we can do in Kali Yuga by performing devotional service. And then in 9th shloka, like our Jasbir Prabhu mentioned that how that Krishna Katha, which is dealing with his devotees, that is the part of this subject, this particular narrations. So their mention is about devotees Katha. There is not mention about Krishna Katha. Then how in this shloka is saying that, oh, till now you have seen different kathas of Lord's karma and guna. Because whenever there is a description of devotees or any activity of devotees, it is not different than Krishna in terms of blessing. He does things under the blessings of Lord. His activities are never considered as separate from Lord's. So that is why this is also Krishna Katha, or hearing about devotees of the Lord, that is also comes under Lord's Katha. And then in this sloka, he tells that, oh, you have heard these kathas. Now, after that, this gave impetus to the all sages. And then the sages glorify that, actually we want to hear more from you. And next 11 to 17, 18 sloka, he details various advantage of hearing Krishna Katha. And very wonderful shlokas are coming in next days, so be tuned. So here he is saying that all of these kathas, ta, is using the word ta. Samsevya sta. So then we will think, arey, all this till now whatever happened, that was not something very different, Krishna's direct activities. Just like in 7th chapter of the 10th canto, Sukadeva Goswami says that there are various kathas of the Lord, and that too the different kathas narrating the pastimes of Lord's childhood activities. They are very glorious, and they are having so many benefits of hearing it. Now till the time we have not, what to speak of Balya Katha, we have not heard any Katha. We have heard more about Parishit Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj. Of course, there are in between description about Lord in Bhishmadev's glories, Bhishmadev's glorification, and Kunti Maharani's prayers. But there are no activities of Lord in directly. But as we mentioned previously, the glories and activities of devotee of the Lord, they are equivalent, their hearing of them is equivalent to hearing about Lord. So Bhagavata, it is said that till the time you heard the activity of Bhagavata means Bhagavan, and things related to Bhagavan is called as the Bhagavata. So Bhagavatam, which is a fruit of all Vedic literature, it is not only just a fruit, but it is fruit with rasa. In third shloka of the first canto, first chapter, he says that how is this fruit? This fruit is rasamalayam. It is having lot of ras. And why it is just a rasamalayam? Because there is no seed and no covering to this fruit. So it makes all the more relishable. And here specific mention is about Urukrama. Kathaniyor karmana. So Urukramana means, Urukramana in various places Prabhupada mentioned that. Uru means bigger or higher, and Kramana means steps. When somebody is going ahead, so he said he is crossing that much path, Kramana. So Kramana means how we cross the path by putting one steps. So that is why the word is Urukramana. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives definition of this Urukrama. Of course, he gave definition of all the shlokas in 24th chapter of the Madhya Leela. So while giving definition of Urukrama, he says, Urukrama shabde kahe bada varna kram, krama shabde kahe ye pada vikshepan. The word Urukrama refers to one whose krama or steps is great. The word krama means throwing the foot forward, that is stepping. So actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives various understanding of each word, and then he compiles all the meaning and gives several meanings of that one shlokas, as we see in Kashmiri Pandit section, and also when he gives that definition to the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So one of the definition which is given in other places also and commonly known of Urukrama is one whose krama or steps is very great. And we know how they are great. In the pastimes of Vamandev, when Vaman asked for 3 steps and Bali Maharaj agreed, that time he was thinking that, okay, how much 3 steps will be? Mahanga hai to kya mahanga hai ki nahi? Kitna mahanga hai? So Bali Maharaj thinking, okay, 3 steps are not a problem. And even after Vamana's, the Shukracharya's warning that, Arey, this is a Lord Vishnu, he will cheat you. Still, he agreed to give whatever steps Bali Maharaj asked for. And then, like, that was the transcendental cheating of Lord Vamandev. But it was not cheating, it was giving lot of teachings. So, Urukrama also means wonderful, wonderful. So, all the Lord's activities are wonderful. They are wonderful for us, and then that way they attract us. If Lord's performance of various activities are not attractive, we will not have much impetus to go to spiritual world. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that how Lord's performing of various pastime is for attracting us to spiritual world. So that when He comes and perform pastimes, or when these pastimes are recorded in the Shastras, when we hear those pastimes, then we want to go to that abode. Then he is saying that some sevyata. So we need to serve some sevya. What we need to serve? We need to serve Bhagavatam. So many times in Bhagavatam, people comes and they just see the darshan of the Lord, or even other place. That is also one way serving. But specifically for a Bhagavatam, serving is by hearing or reading Bhagavatam. Worshipping Bhagavatam is also by reading the Bhagavatam. So he is saying that all of you, Sutta Goswami is saying that all of you sages, now you have served the Bhagavatam by hearing those activities concerning Lord's qualities and activities. Like that he is saying. Then one may say, okay, this Bhagavatam is so glorious, then why many people are not hearing? So that answer was given in two slokas before, in 8 sloka, that apramatteshu, those who are apramatta, they will not hear from Bhagavatam. And then why we should hear? That is telling in last word, that bhubhushubi. Those who want their own welfare, they will hear. So till this the verse, he is creating needs in the heart of sages, that oh, you must hear. And on top of it, then when sages glorify, oh, hearing from you is so nectarious. They say in some 4-5 slokas later that konama trupte bhagavat kathayam. Who is that person who will be satisfied by hearing? So Damodar Prabhu was telling that sometimes when not naam, but when aam is getting served, that time people are sitting in a row, so they will sit with a big glass and they will say, who will be satisfied by hearing, by drinking just small glass? Of course, we don't serve in Charnamrut glass, but so he was telling that sometimes the devotee comes with a bigger glass, that they are challenging the server. Who is that who will be satisfied by just drinking small glass of aam juice? We may not have much taste in naam juice, but we will have taste in aam juice. And if somebody is having very small glass, they are saying, okay, I want this much only. But by bringing big glass, they are saying that people will not be satisfied just by hearing small amount. We want to hear more. And he is saying here that even by hearing activities and qualities of the Lord, that is so glorious. Then what to speak of? Activities about Lord himself, Vasudeva Katha, which will the main subject matter of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is having all subject matter, and every Puranas they have all subject matter. As mentioned in the 10th chapter of the 2nd canto, that Atha Sarga Visarga Sthanam Poshanam Utaya Bhagavan, what is next? Manvantara Ishanukata Nirodha Mukti Rasraya. So these all 10 topics of Puranas are there in every Purana, but Bhagavatam specifically is like glorify. All 9 topics are for the glorification of the 10th topic. So when you have given an example that there may be different limbs of the Lord, different things in the altar, but ultimately everything is focusing on Lord's face. So like that, Bhagavatam's face is the 10th canto. To glorify that 10th canto, all other topics are arranged. So if somebody is so much satisfied by just by hearing the qualities and activities of the Lord mentioned in other portion of the Bhagavatam, what to speak of hearing about Lord personally in 10th canto. And Bhubhushibi is also telling that hearing about Lord is so important. It means what? Hearing other things is not so important. But somebody may say, we are just hearing. How the just hearing is important? We are hearing and we are not applying much. So it may be think that, okay, if we hear and then apply, that will be the highest thing. But just hearing is also important. If we are hearing again, then we will understand, oh, this is important and I am not doing it. I am not applying it. And even if sometimes we hear that, then we understand, oh, this thing is important. He's saying Bhubhushubi means, oh, this is for my welfare. Means whatever other things I am doing, that is not for the ultimate welfare. Means somebody is not hearing at all, then what he will do? He will be just engaged in other things and he will not be careful about doing any spiritual activity. So at least by sometimes hearing he understand, okay, these my other activities are there for as my duty, but hearing about Bhagavatam is more important. And when we hear again and again, he understand, oh, this hearing about his activities so wonderful, I should serve the Lord or I should apply the things. And highest is that we hear also and apply the things in life. And this is for our welfare. Prahlad Maharaj tells in while praying to Narasimhadev that Naivatmanam Prabhurilam Nijalabha Purnam. After telling the importance of devotional activity, he says that, oh Lord, you don't want to tell these things to do for the living entity for your benefit. Naivatmanam Prabhurilam Nijalabha Purnam. It is for whose benefit? It is for the soul's benefit only. Manam Janata Vidusho Karuna Vrunito. And you are telling this Karuna, out of Karuna. Just like sometimes when a child is very much annoyed with the parent that why you have kept this tuition teacher, which is you are paying him and that way it is giving me trouble. It is chastising me. But when he understands, oh, this chastisement by this teacher is for my benefit, or parents appointing the tuition teacher is for my benefit, then child will happily do the job or study. So understanding it is for my benefit, then he will wholeheartedly do. Or even while teaching his father, Prahlad Maharaj was telling that many times person don't understand what is my own benefit. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. So to the fact person is not doing devotional service is because he is not understanding that my benefit is in serving Vishnu. You can do something as selfish activity and doing that activity is our goal. But then why living entity is not doing? Because he is not understanding my real swartha is in worshipping the Lord. And when we understand that, then, and when we understand, okay, for others, benefit is also in serving the Lord, then we want to spread this knowledge selflessly. So selfishness is required in spiritual life in terms of we ourselves getting the spiritual inputs so that we can give out selflessly. In purport, Prabhupada is telling about the systematic hearing about activities, qualities and names. And why Prabhupada is telling why this hearing is required systematically. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, he gives reference of Bhagavad Gita that Janma karma cha me divam evam yo vetti tatvata. Tatvata hearing is important. Because that hearing will make us understand, oh, God exists, God's authority exists. If God exists, God's authority exists. And then if I do something for the pleasure of the Lord, I act for the pleasure of the Lord, my doing, my existence in this world is for the pleasure of the Lord, then I can become happy. So hearing about existence of Lord, then we can understand, okay, Lord has some rules and regulation for this world. And after knowing that, we will act according to those rules and regulation, and then that activity will be for the pleasure of the Lord. So that systematic hearing about Lord and His expectation will help us please Him. But then question will come that how it should be systematic. So one way of systematic is that, okay, we should hear regularly. As Sukadeva Goswami says that, Sutta Goswami says that, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavatam has to be heard regularly, daily. Many times when Prabhupada used to see the boards of Sapta, Bhagavatam Sapta, he used to say, from where this Sapta term is come from. But of course, for the people who never hear, for them, at least hearing in one Sapta, that is beneficial. But hearing systematically means we should hear in a particular sequence, we should hear with some rules, and we should hear with logical understanding. So we should hear in particular sequence because Prabhupada had written one letter to Brahmanand Prabhu in 23rd March 1969. So Prabhupada says, yes, we must set up our society as a school as best we can. Means Prabhupada is saying that we should have a system by which people understand the things, and specifically our books, nicely. I already sent you a letter. Please formulate the whole curriculum because we have to immediately submit to the draft department, and if this is accepted, that will be a great gain for our society. Bhakti Shastri is awarded after extensive study of Bhagavad Gita, Easy Journey to Other Planets, Nectar of Devotion. Bhakti Vaibhav is awarded after study of Vedanta Sutra and Srimad Bhagavatam on a preliminary basis, and Bhakti Vedanta, the highest tide, is awarded after extensive study of Chaitanya Chaitamrut. So Prabhupada was expecting that some systematic study should happen. And then he was telling that how in this sequence, books should be read. In 1970, when Prabhupada was thinking that, okay, I am just starting with Bhagavatam, and Bhagavatam also some way written, Prabhupada wanted to give some essential things about Bhakti. So Prabhupada took Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu, and Prabhupada wanted to give some summary study of it. Even that same time, Prabhupada gave Krishna book also. So while translating Bhagavatam, Prabhupada was also thinking that the highest great jewel of 10th canto also can be given. But the Prabhupada was not having that much time. Then he gave a summary study of 10th canto, that is Krishna book. And just before that, Prabhupada also gave summary study of Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu, that is Nectar of Devotion book. So Prabhupada could not give verse by verse translation the way he gave in Bhagavatam. So he gave summary study of Nectar of Devotion. And Prabhupada says in one of the Bhagavatam class that one should hear Nectar of Devotion, one should read Nectar of Devotion before reading Bhagavatam. There was one more conversation, and then it was letter was written by Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj in far end when Prabhupada was just 1 year before Prabhupada's pastimes. So Prabhupada writes that, or Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj writes, His Divine Grace therefore wishes to institute examinations to be given to all prospective candidates for sannyas and Brahman initiation. In addition, he wishes that all present sannyasis and Brahmanas also pass the examination. Awarding of the titles will be based upon the following books: Bhakti Shastri, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Ishopanishad, Easy Journey to Other Planets, and all other small paperbacks as well as Archana Paddhati. Bhakti Vaibhav should include all the above plus first 6 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhakti Vedanta, all the above plus cantos 7 to 12 of Bhagavatam. And Bhakti Sarabham, all the above plus entire Chaitanya Chaitamrut. Anyone wishing to be initiated as a Brahmana will have to pass Bhakti Shastra examination, and anyone wishing to take sannyas will have to pass Bhakti Vaibhav examination as well. This will prevent our society from degrading to the level so that many other institutions were. In order to maintain the temple, they accept all third-class men as Brahmanas. Any sannyasi and Brahmanas already initiated who failed to pass the examination will be considered low class or less qualified. Anyone wishing to be second initiated will sit for the examination once a year at Mayapur. So total year Prabhupada said we can sit for various exams. Answer will be essay form and authoritative quotations will be given a greater score. During the exams, books may not be consulted. This was to all the GBC 6 January 1976, signed by Tamal Krishna Goswami and approved by Srila Prabhupada. So various places Prabhupada also mentioned that before reading 10th canto, one should read all 9th canto. So this is also one of the way of systematic reading. And while reading 10th canto, Prabhupada says that even the other, all the chapters sequentially can be read, but before that, all 9 cantos should be read. And this systematic hearing helps. We may not understand how it helps, but it helps. And Krishna is like many things we may not understand. How our food is digesting, how the blood is getting formed. But that systematic hearing will makes us understand how Krishna's activities, Krishna's form is there. And some things we have to understand through our intellectual. At least we should understand, putting our intelligence, that Krishna is not supposed to be understood completely. So when we understand inconceivable nature of Lord by putting our intelligence, then we are qualified to understand. Like that Jiva Goswami explained that how we can understand Krishna with this our tiny brain. So there is yes. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also, when the initial section of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu we see, there is a lot of definitions about bhakti. So quite a systematic study is given in the beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Because if the terms are not clear to the devotees, then it becomes all confusion. Okay, why these things are given here and then next another thing is given there. Just like the word bhakti is mentioned many places. But general like we see bhakti, we see bhakti in other way, and the newcomer sees bhakti in other way. So bhakti means without any material motivation, material desire. But most cases people outside bhakti word, they use bhakti word in terms of full of material desire. I am doing bhakti, that's why Lord please give me this. They not only use bhakti, they have bhakti use, they use for other demigods also. We are doing Shiv bhakti, we are doing Ganesh bhakti. What to speak of that, they use even for other things, that they use that Desha bhakti, Samaj bhakti. So words are being used for very other terms which are not meant for. Because Bhagavatam clearly is bhakti means bhakti is for Krishna or Vishnu. So we may also see that why bhakti should have all this science. Because science generally deals with matter or material energy. So why there should be science? So Rupa Goswami himself says that, there should not be any tarka, not should be any argument or intelligence, intellectual things. Because it's about emotional, it's not about just emotional, it is about emotions, bhav. We see na, bhakti में क्या चाहिए? भाव चाहिए, भक्ति भाव चाहिए. लेकिन at the same time, Rupa Goswami himself is giving so many definitions. So as we see, the different gradations of devotees, Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari and Kanishtadhikari. One of the understanding is that Madhyamadhikari who follows it very rigidly, he is having complete faith what he is doing. But Uttamadhikari is one who not only follows it with complete faith, but he can convince others. Shastra yuktevcha nipuno. He is nipuna in Shastra. So that is why the logical understanding, the philosophy has to be understood systematically so that he can convince others. So that is the way Acharya used the word argument. They used the philosophy for that purpose. We see in Puranjana section that he was given this knowledge. The Puranjana, the word, it is for the Jiva, that how the story of Jiva, how his life cycle in this material world grows. And the Puranjani, his wife, that is the analogy used for the Puranjani in that section means the intelligence of the Jiva. So when that intelligence is chaste, or when the Puranjani was chaste to Puranjan, then it has to be used for some service to the Lord. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, last sloka, it says that Bhajati, the highest yoga is Bhakti Yoga. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells that how that highest yoga is Bhakti Yoga, because bhajan means bhajan, dividing our intellectual, dividing our abilities, rather than using only for ourselves, I am using for Krishna. So that way, intelligence also has to be utilized for the service of Krishna. And one way of using intelligence in Krishna's service is by understanding the scriptures. That's what Prabhupada says, that these people will should understand systematically how Krishna is so merciful. Not only that, we should understand how Maya is so dangerous. Prabhupada used to say that one of the fear is that devotees are not taking Maya seriously. So we have to understand systematically how Krishna is all glorious, and by understanding how different rasas Krishna experience with devotees, and also how Maya systematically cheats us, because by that then we can save ourselves from Maya. And that understanding is easier than understanding Krishna's pastimes in spiritual world. In 7th chapter of the 2nd canto, last sloka, Sukadeva Goswami says that Mayam varnamito amushya ishwarasya anumodita. This material energy, how the Maya is cheating the Jiva, that has to be understood very nicely. Because unless we understand this, we can't understand the Vrindavan pastimes of the Lord. And Prabhupada gives so much emphasis on hearing this Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada, when he about to enter Boston Harbor, Boston port, that time, he composed this prayer, Markini Bhagavad Dharma. And in that he mentions several shlokas from Bhagavatam. He quotes these shlokas. Shrunvata svakata Krishna punya sravana kirtana hrudayantasto abadrani vidunoti surutsatam nashta prayeshu abadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki tatha rajastamo bhava kama lobha dayaschaye cheta etair anavidyam sitam satve prasidati evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Then he tells what will happen to them. Why this Bhagavatam I am carrying? Of course, sometimes he says, actually Bhagavatam is going to the west. I am going because somebody should accompany. And hearing this Bhagavatam, what will the effect? Bindante rudaya grantis chindante sarva samshaya kshiyante chasya karmani drushta evatma nishvare. By hearing this Bhagavatam, their all doubts will get solved. And he said that just regular hearing of Bhagavatam is required. He says that Krishna Katha hearing will make them completely remove their rajas and tamas. Later part of this poem, Prabhupada says that how people in this Western civilization are full with rajas and tamas. So, getting rid of all this passionate and ignorance things will be possible by hearing the Bhagavatam. In one of the later, Prabhupada says that how devotees should read my books regularly. When first time His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj went back to US after his journey in this India, so he was in New York and there Prabhupada came, and that was the first class Maharaj heard in US from Prabhupada. So Prabhupada was asking everyone, who all are going for book distribution? Then devotees were raising the hand. And then Prabhupada asked, so are you reading them? So Prabhupada is telling, these books are mainly for all of you. And also you can distribute to others. Just because you feel it very valuable, then you are distributing to others. So reading of the books is also important. So then, Prabhupada is telling at the end of the purport that this last section that okay, otherwise, this hearing, we will just conclude with hearing only. There are many examples. Bhagavatam is telling about that. Okay, just by hearing, who all got benefited. So, there is example of Yaggik Brahmana Patnis, that how they just heard from some vegetable sellers, other people about Krishna. When Krishna came near Akrura Ghat, where they actually went and offered bhoga to the Lord, before that they were never seen Krishna. But still, they developed so much bhakti about Krishna that even the Brahmanas, they could not go with the faith to offer things to Krishna, but they went, their wives went. So they went to offer things to Krishna, and later Krishna reciprocated. That was the result of their hearing about Krishna till the time. Even recently we had Rukmini Dadashi. So Rukmini Devi, she heard about Krishna from the various stages, used to visit Bhishmaka's palace. And then she developed lot of affection for Krishna. So the stories tell that how by hearing about Krishna can develop that rati about to Krishna. So Haigriv Prabhu, who was initially, very initial days of ISKCON, he got connected. So he, along with many other devotees, went to the Misra Stadium once for their retreat, something like their Sankalpa camp after some days. Then Prabhupada took them for some outing, and there they were sleeping in just outskirt where they can see the stars while sleeping. So Haigriv Prabhu got one dream, and in that dream, Prabhupada, he saw first Krishna is telling Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and after some time, the place where Krishna was standing there, Prabhupada was there, and the place where Arjuna was there he saw himself. And then Prabhupada is telling about Bhagavad Gita, and he is hearing. And he was very excited. Next day morning when he got up, he went to Prabhupada and he was telling, Prabhupada, I saw something like this. Then Prabhupada is telling, yes, you understood correctly. What Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, that same thing I am repeating. So hearing in an authoritative source, hearing from the authoritative source is as good as hearing from Krishna. So our hearing should be authoritative, and Haigriv Prabhu, he understood that, okay, if I hear, even now if I can hear the message given by Krishna to Arjuna through the medium of Prabhupada, through his Bhagavad Gita. And this hearing itself can transform us to the place where the things are happening. Prabhupada, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was telling in one class that now we are hearing about Bhagavatam, or we are discussing Bhagavatam, that can transform us now to the Shuktal, where the actual Bhagavatam was spoken, or on the bank of Ganges, where the discussion was happening. The discussion between Uddhav and Vidura was happening. So now we hear with that faith, then we can transform ourselves to the same place. But of course, we should not hear by our mundane logic. Otherwise, it is just like entire ocean we want to measure by our teaspoon. How we can measure the ocean with 2 teaspoons? It is not possible. We ourselves are not able to lift some little bigger stone. And with our mundane intelligence, we try to understand, then we will think, oh, how Krishna can lift the mountain. So this hearing has to be with faith, and that faith has to be developed. Many very acharyas and Prabhupada say that Vrindavan is seen through hearing. By hearing, we can understand Vrindavan. In Vaishnava song, this Narottam Das Thakur says that I am not able to understand Vrindavan because I am deep in sense gratification. When I will be understanding Vrindavan, when I will get rid of this sense gratification, desire. And then at the end he says that Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti Tabe Hama Gujabo Si Jugala Piriti. That understanding that qualification will come by hearing from the acharyas, hearing from Prabhupada, and that will make us qualified. Then this hearing with faith, if it is there, then we can see Krishna. Of course, this it is not that okay, right now I don't have faith, then I must not hear. So slowly that faith will come. It is in a process. Many times our free will and faith is wrongly identified. Just like Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Ami Vigya Sei Murkha Vishaya Kena Diya. He's saying that living entity is unnecessarily asking for sense gratification, though I can give him Krishna Prem. So here this response of the living entity is not all the time by faith. Some devotees get discouraged, okay, I don't have much faith on Krishna, process of Krishna consciousness, that's why I am struggling in this material world. But this our free will can be an outcome of modes of nature in which we are now deep inside. So even Arjuna says that Anichan api varshneya. Krishna, this is very difficult. Even though I know the things, it is difficult to act on the subject matter. And Krishna says, Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajoguna samudbhava. Because of modes of material nature and our conditioning, our natural decision can be on the basis of our conditioning. It is not that our faith is not there, that's why. So free will can be out of modes while we are developing our faith on the spiritual subject matters. Because vasanas and free will coexist in the heart of jiva. So we may out of some faith we want to take some right decision, but that vasana may pull us doing something wrong. And that is why these shastras are very important. In the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada quote this shloka, Maya Mugdha Jivanahi Swata Krishna Jnyan Jivera Kripaya Kaila Krishna Veda Puran. Prabhupada explained that how the thought process, any thought coming in the mind of a jiva is based on what thoughts he is taking. And that process is made easy by the reading of the scriptures. And Prabhupada explained that how these scriptures are meant for giving people thoughts about Krishna, understanding that how when we were going through some circumstances in entangling situation of jiva, then we can see other person that how the modes are acting on them, and we can see ourselves that how I am in the modes. So understanding systematically about the Maya, understanding systematically about the about Krishna, that helps the jiva to take that to act with the free will derived from faith and not from the vasanas. And then with that understanding, when we hear about the Lord, about the various activities, that further develops our faith. So that's what I want to share. So we, just to summarize, we saw that how Sutta Goswami is mentioning that these various pastimes about the Lord, explaining different activities and qualities of the Lord, are very important, which narration it will come from tomorrow's shloka onwards. And this hearing is so important. Then how much important the hearing about Lord's activity, in that too the childhood pastimes of the Lord, which will be the main subject matter of Bhagavatam. And we saw that how all these things are arranged to glorify the face of the Lord. And in this case, Bhagavatam's face is the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. And then we saw that how the systematic hearing in terms of three ways. One is about hearing sequentially, hearing, understanding the basic terms of the bhakti, and then slowly taking different books. Systematic also means that hearing in regular manner, and systematic also means the different terminologies, understanding through our intelligence. And that way we can engage our intelligence in the service of the Lord. That can be the bhajan of Lord. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.